Here.
Yeah. What's good?
It's been a minute. We gotta reorient these late night episodes because we're both cooked right now.
I know. I just actually I went to this meditation event and then I ran from I guess like a third of the way up, quarter of the way up Central Park, all the way back home. Not a good run, but like it was through like the guts of New York City. Like went through
Oh,
Times
you didn't
Square.
go on the West Side Highway? You went
No,
like,
no, I just went straight down. I was like it's like
where was the
4
event?
time sorry, Central Park. But like southern part.
It's
Like
outdoor?
fairly, yeah.
Word.
But yeah, I'm fried. But we're good. We're here. Tamara and I went on a really nice walk last weekend. What did we walk? Like 6-7 miles. Got some halal, and yeah, just
Well,
chill.
it's cap.
Yeah,
That
it
halal was
was.
so disappointing.
Yeah,
The guy was charging us $10 for halal.
we set him straight though.
No, me gusta. Yeah, he gave us $1
$1
off.
off each.
That guy was a dick. Not because of that. I understand they're trying to make a living, but he was just giving asshole energy.
Yeah. What's good with you? What were you up to?
Just working, bro. Since they fired a bunch of people, and now we have like a pretty aggressive roadmap to try to survive. Like,
Sure.
today I merged a commit, or not merged. I was doing a conflict, like a merge conflict, and when I submitted my like the commit that dealt with the conflicts, for some reason, GitHub was like, number of files changed 5,000. What?
Yeah.
So I just had, I don't know. It was a headache.
I wonder if you had like it thought all the commits between your commits were included. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think that the mistake I made was I addressed the commits, but then in like the IDE, there was an option like choose your version,
Yeah.
which
Just messed everything up. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was a headache,
That's
but
bad.
I fixed it.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right?
That's it.
That's how it goes.
One problem after another.
Yeah, but it's just been like long days at work.
Sure.
But
it's good.
I actually do like the thing that you texted me about, like so the having kids early versus later in life. Is that something that Paul Graham wrote about?
No. Separate thing. I was just thinking, I feel like so many people, at least from like high school, college, everything, are just like getting engaged. Like it's like every week there's like 1-2 people, maybe more. And I don't know, I was just like, hadn't even like crossed my mind that like someone could like start a family at this age. I mean, obviously getting engaged is not having kids, but like, I don't know, it's just such a norm in like the South and so many parts of the world and in the past to have like kids when you're like in your early to mid 20s, and then like you're kind of at you're like young while you're like raising your kids, have a lot more energy, but like, yeah, you do trade off some like career, like you don't have as much flexibility to see things, for career growth, all those things. But I don't know, like I know you talk in depth about like things that have been tested through time, and this is something that's like existed literally until like a handful of decades ago. So like, yeah, I don't know, just interesting thought.
That one is interesting because life expectancy has gone up so much in the last 200 years that it wasn't considered early for someone to have kids when they were even like a teenager.
Yeah.
And by the time people were in their 40s, could have been grandparents,
Sure.
So it is an interesting thing to think about. I think like I feel like at our age, in our 20s, even mid to late 20s, the level of maturity I feel like I'd need to have a kid, I don't feel that I have right now. But I think it's also one of those things that when you have a kid on the way, or a kid is born, they say like you grow up a ton.
Sure.
I do think right now the experience of having a kid, not necessarily the responsibility, but imagine like at your age, like a little you running around. That would be pretty fucking cool. And like having
Yeah.
whatever energy I have now to go like chill with that kid.
Sure. No, that's what I'm saying. I was like, this kind of would be pretty fire. I mean, like, not what I want now, but like, it would be. I don't know. I just think it'd be an interesting experience, and I think probably very fulfilling. And like, in some ways, it restricts your career, right? Where you have to like can't be as flexible or can't be as risky, but also it's like you got to be like dead serious about your career, providing, and like, I don't know. It just seems like it would make it could work out really well. I mean, definitely couldn't, but like, and also we're seeing too, like, there's a lot higher. There's kids are born with a lot more. I don't know, things going on. There's a higher rate of like certain diseases and different things, and like, I wonder if that's due to age or what we're eating or cell phone. Who like, I mean, who knows what it is? But just like, we're all doing this one massive experiment where people are older. But I'm sure someone could study because the other parts of the world and like this health and stuff where people have kids earlier. I wonder if are lower rates of that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that data is definitely available. I just think like with the extension of life and living with so much freedom in this country, and honestly living with a very different sense of like myth or narrative that's not that connected to our like to the past as much as like if you were to go to Pakistan, like a lot of my cousins and just friends I have that live in Pakistan are like married and have kids mid to late 20s, like
Yeah.
and it's still very prevalent in a lot of parts of the world. And I wonder, I mean, it just seems like a trade-off, right? Like we are the wealthiest country in the world. We achieve, like in America, the opportunity to achieve great wealth is like more available than say, well, definitely Pakistan. And I don't know. I mean, I just think like we've talked about on this podcast and we've also talked about sort of offline, it doesn't seem that the fundamental human unit is one person, but I think we live in such a way where we in the West and at least in America and the more like let's say, like big city America, like New York City,
Mm-hmm.
LA, San Francisco, these kinds of places where we optimize, like not even optimize, just the psychology is very individualistic, and
Sure.
I think very much at the cost of the greater good.
I 100%.
But I think that's also a difficult argument because if you do achieve wealth, you can create so much opportunity for people and blah blah blah, solve problems. But I think like I don't know.
I think you
I
can
know
have
a lot
your
of
cake and
people
eat
who
it
are
too. Like, I mean, obviously, like you can work. How many hours you work, yes, is a factor. But if you're spending like, let's say, 8 to 10 quality hours a day, like doing real work, I mean, you come home, like, yeah, maybe you can't go happy hour after whatever, but like you can have a successful career, work really hard, and then also like have kids. And I don't know. I just imagine that would be very fulfilling.
Yeah, I think it's logistically a little tougher than just that. Like for example, like in Pakistan, it's just convention that when you get married, you're going to be near your parents. And I mean like walking distance of your parents,
Yep.
They're a house down, they're 2 houses down, maybe they're a drive away, but like a 2-minute drive. I think there are so many things that, how do I say this articulately? When we move away from a certain way of living, I think it's difficult to optimize for those things logistically. So
Sure.
we're like getting together. Okay, that's not very articulate. Like, okay, when there was religion, we would, go to church, mosque, temple once a week, right? That, was under the story of religion. And I'm sure most people for most of history, or a lot of people throughout history, believed that those stories were true.
Mm-hmm.
But the human aspect of that was like, okay, community.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, like I know like your mom is sick. So when I see them next week, we're going to ask
Drop
her how
off
she is.
food.
We're going to take off food. Exactly.
Right.
Oh, like they had a new kid. Let's go take them like a little gift, like these kinds of things, right?
Sure.
Now, the myth was that social media would be providing that, but it's not really, because now we just kind of know what a lot of people. I mean, here's
We
a good
don't have
example.
we're
Here's
not
a
like
good example.
homies like with that
So
many.
there's this new app that I've been telling you about, Be Real, which is just like a fun app, but a lot of people from my grade at Santa Clara are on it now. And like the opening page, or like the like people you may know, basically it's just based on your contacts, and there's so many people whose numbers I have who are on the app that I'm not going to add, because it's not it's like kind of a more intimate app in the
Yeah.
sense of like you're seeing what everyone that you're seeing what people are doing in their day. It's like once a day you take a picture of what you're doing, and it also takes a picture of your face. So it's like your front camera and your back camera just once a day. And there's no opportunity to like retake your
Proof it or
picture,
whatever.
blah, blah, blah. There's no stories. It's just that, right? And there's so many people's numbers I have who I'm like, I don't care about those people. Like,
Sure.
I don't care what they're doing. And to bring it back to the point, like life optimized, or reality throughout throughout, generations, we formed ways of life that were beneficial for us. And we arrived at those like habits and conventions through story, myth, religion, blah, blah,
Sure.
blah, just
I mean,
whatever grandma tells you. And then now trying to optimize for those things, it seems like we're in this perhaps, optimistically in between stage, pessimistically a departure completely from that. And I think like trying to come up with new reasons to get together, like communally, is just it's very difficult, because we're all like, I think the tendency in for our generation in the West is like to run it through some optimization algorithm in our mind, or like,
sure.
does this really align with my preferences? Whereas back in the day, it was like just religion is a part of life, like
Sure.
going to church,
But
having people over for dinner. My parents are down the street, or I'm living in the same house as them. My uncle's over there. Like everyone's like all around all the time.
sure. I think there's like larger things as well, right? Like your oranges come from Brazil, your peppers come from Mexico, your whatever, like bananas might come from East Asia, even though I think they're from South America. Like we live in this world that's like very much about specialization, right? So we work in software, right? Someone else raises chicken, whatever. Like everything is so specialized, and there's just not. You don't need these little communities anymore, right? Like everyone can just be like very focused on what they want to do, and like in the past, it was like, okay, like we live in this town. Dad was a milk farmer, probably also going to be a milk farmer. So that also keeps you around. So there's like so many things on top of like, yeah, religion, other things that form the community, but there's also like the economy worked different, and like kind of like the places that even allow you to live are so different. And I feel like, yeah, we just have like moved very much away from this like family community unit, even though obviously people still see their family. There's still some sense of community, and like you just have to like really work for it, and it's definitely not the same. But yeah, I think not being around family and parents is crazy. Like I think it's essential, and like people spend tens of thousands of dollars a year on like childcare. Like people work their ass off to be lawyer, doctor, right, and then just like spend that money, a good chunk of that on childcare.
Yeah, I think it's like that, that story that just exists, that like, oh, there's this wealthy business magnate who's like finally, worked himself into the ability to take a vacation, and he goes to some fishing town and he meets a
Yeah,
fisherman, and he's just like, I just want to, the fisherman's like, why are you working so hard, right? It's like, so I could come here on the beach and just sit here and fish and float on a boat, and the fisherman's like,
I do that.
I do that every day for free.
Sure.
And I think that story definitely illustrates a point, but also is a little bit simplistic, but also at the same time, I don't know. I mean, Nassim talks about this, like people who take the elevator up to their gym instead of taking the stairs. Like,
Sure.
when people who he said he was checking into some hotel, and a guy was checking in at the same time, and the hotel staff was taking his suitcases up to his room, and then later that day he saw that same guy lifting weights in the gym.
Sure.
There's a little bit of like a strange,
like a wraparound way of doing the same work.
Exactly. You know?
I just think like there's a way to have our cake and eat it too, right? Like we enjoy what we do for work. Like there's a way to have that, but also like live close to family and like prioritize a life that's like built around that. And it just seems like, I don't know, like a solid idea.
Yeah. But something I do worry about, worry is too strong of a word, but I think Balaji touches on this, and maybe that's what his book is about, the network state, like people forming ultimately countries based on shared preferences.
Mhm.
And, maybe one day that happens and that'll be great. And it kind of happens online. But I find myself longing for like just I don't have to think about it. I'm gonna see all these people as part of my community like once a week, and I don't want to think about it.
Like
And
Fishbowl, like Bellamy was just like, I know
Yeah.
every week I'm going to see this person at least a handful of times. On top of,
right,
and then on a more micro level, like I know in my house I'm going to see these guys like once, twice,
Right.
3 times a day. Like
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, there's very much, and we've been talking about this recently, like very much a desire for like a tribe, and one of the things we want to like think about being more conscious of in New York is like how do we sort of build that tribe or just have like a larger group of homies to like
consistently chill.
and like it also just like create what's the word I'm looking for? Create traditions or like rituals. Like
Sure.
I know we talked about it when we went to drinks with Tomas, but like getting drinks once a week with a group of guys,
Sure.
which we absolutely should do. And I'm writing that on my to-do list that we should do that tomorrow.
Sure. He's dipping to
Or
Europe
just-
for a bit, but anyway.
Bro, this dude.
But yeah, I agree. I think I think like I told you, like reading habit, I have this like rigid habit where it's like regardless of the week, whatever, like read one book a week at minimum, period. Like, and there's some times where it's like Sunday and I'm like grinding through a book just because I'm like I need to finish it. Occasionally I'll let it leak over, but overall, like stick to this for like years, right? And sure, there's times it's not optimal and whatever, but looking back, like it's paid huge dividends. And maybe reading a different way would have been beneficial, but like this way has been like hugely beneficial. And like, yeah, I was talking to my girlfriend today, and just like the concept of like at a bare minimum once a week we're gonna do something like some special date night, whatever that like looks like. And I think it's just like nice and reassuring to know that like is always gonna happen, and like hailwind, like whatever highs, whatever, it's like this is going to happen. And I think it'd be dope for us to really commit to that with like a group of people.
Yeah, 100%. I'm down. I think doing like group dinners would be fire. Like
hosting would be fun. That'd be sick, honestly.
Yeah.
Like cook some. I mean, it could be anything. Like, it could be like pasta, lentils, like whatever the hell it is. Like, it would be dope. Or just like order pizza, like whatever.
Yeah, I like that idea a lot, and I think it's important, and I think it's something that's people are pretty down to do. Like once a week, let's get together, hang out with friends,
Sure.
like eat a meal together, go out to dinner together, whatever.
Sure. I wonder what is the best strategy. Like I'm thinking about like I was thinking about earlier, it'd be cool to like maybe join like a running club, like whatever, just like whatever. People just it's something where like daily there's a run, and maybe you only go like 3 or 4 days out of the week or like whatever, and you end up seeing the same people every week, even though your schedule isn't as flexible. Like it's not like always every Wednesday, because a schedule that rigid doesn't generally work out with like a group of people. But like if you have a large enough group who meets 5 to 7 times a week, and you can like pick which days you want to go, and you go a few days a week, like you definitely will get a sense of community. And even if you don't see the same exact people, you're going to see most people like once a week. So I wonder what
that's what going to the fucking office was.
Yeah.
You know, and now it's like work from home. And trust me, I don't want to commute to an office. So I'm not like, but I kind of do. Like, I remember even when I was working a job I hated, I liked seeing my friends at that job.
Sure.
I liked, let's take a break and go get coffee 5 times a day. Like, so not productive, but it's just, and like after work, you guys want to get dinner? Yeah, sure. You want to get drinks? Yeah. You want to go to the bar? Like, fire. Even at, dude, Flatiron, when I was at boot camp, the environment was like you're at a job. Like everyone comes to do one task. You're getting coffee 3 times a day. You know, a culture emerges. People tell jokes.
Sure.
Oh, like it's just so fun. And like, I don't know. I like that at work. I like
has its trade-offs, like
happy hours and shit. Yeah, but there's so many trade-offs where I think certain like nature has protected against so much selfish decision making that, like, in the sense, like, why would anyone not make the selfish decision to, you know, not commute, not, you know, get out of bed on a Sunday or a Friday or a Saturday to go communally and worship, like, not whatever, like, who would want, if you have the option to wait until you're 40 to have a kid versus in your 20s, when you're in your 20s, you have money for the first time, you can adventure, all this stuff. But it's like, what if all those things are better for us? It's just, there's no way, like, it's hard for me to imagine that unless it's being enforced through the like conditions of reality and nature, that we're going to choose those things.
Sure.
Even if we can somehow conclusively prove, which I think Nassim has done, but it's just, even things that we can prove, people don't listen to, myself included. Like, I can choose to.
No one's gonna go against what makes sense or feels right to do. Like, especially
exactly. But so many things are probably good for us that don't make sense according to our shallow first order logical thinking. Like, oh, I don't have that much money, so I'm not gonna have a kid. Okay, but when do you have enough? Also, like, you have to think about having a kid is going to give you a greater sense of motivation to do more shit. So, but that's not a good reason to have a kid. Okay, there's no good reason. You just do it because you're a fucking animal.
Exactly, a human. Exactly.
Like there's no, like, I remember, I don't know who I was talking to. They're like, why would I bring someone into the world when you can bet that they're going to be depressed at some point in life? They're going to feel their dreams getting crushed. It's like, yo, stop thinking. Like,
literally.
Like, okay, it's a bit reductive for me to be like, that's a dumb way of thinking, because it's not, right? Like, if you have a horrible life and you know your kid is going to be like in horrible conditions, that's not good, right? You don't want that. You don't want that. But at the same time, like, okay, you make 6 figures, you can support a kid. Maybe it'll be tight, inflation, blah blah blah. Your priorities are going to change. You're going to work harder. You're going to work smarter. Blah blah blah. Whatever. And look, I'm not saying that we should do that, because I'm not fucking in any rush to have a kid. But that is like this weird awareness of like, who's to say that it's better if I wait? You know, I mean,
that's what I'm saying. Like
my dad was 40 when I was born, and it wasn't even out of like, or he was 39. It wasn't even out of like our type, like our generation American like optimization. He just like lived kind of a wild life, and then just met my mom when he was like 38. And like, I think they were fine like they were great parents, and I never felt like they were super old, you know?
Because they're not. I hear you. I just think like, yeah, I just feel like there was this big mass experiment of like, okay, yeah, we're just gonna wait to like have kids later and later, and then like,
yeah,
I mean, it's not really an issue, right? Like, people have older kids, and like, it's also one of those things you also want to have kids like around times when like your friends and people you know are having kids, because it's like, all right, we're all gonna go fucking.
Yo, imagine we had kids at the same time.
Yeah, it'd be mad
kids were fucking
boys,
playing,
like milk dot
together. Like, yo, milk dot, yo, that's elite. Yeah, we got to have them play Milk Bag.
Literally.
That's a great idea.
But yeah, just like, I don't know. It just seems like something like, I don't know. It just seems like we should put some thought behind this, because like no one's like consciously made the decision to like have kids later, really. Just like a societal thing. And then like, yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if we should put thought behind it. I think thought is like, look, I really believe in Nassim's like, when we remove the consequences from a certain class, from any action that is separated from its consequences, it fucks the dynamic up. Now,
Sure.
there are definitely levels of severity. Like, I don't think anyone wants to return to a world where we cannot have recreational sex. I mean, even without birth control, people had recreational sex, but you know what I mean? Like,
Wait, you've had sex before marriage?
I just think like no one would want to re-inject risk, but there are a certain class of things where, you know, at a larger scale, you talk about government. How crazy is it that someone could sit in a room and decide to drone strike another country, and they're not at all involved in the actual physical altercation of any conflict that might happen?
Sure.
That's crazy.
What's that thing? There was like that I don't know. I think it was just like an idea that basically they were gonna like put the nuclear codes like inside some guy's like heart or something like that. And the only way that we could call like a nuclear strike was if like the president like stabbed the guy and killed him, and then they could like remove it out. And like incentives are aligned, but then they're like, oh, it's gonna mess with his thinking that he has to kill someone in order to do this. And it's like, bro, this guy's about to kill like
17 million people,
like thousands, millions of people. Like,
yeah,
pretty good alignment.
but imagine, okay,
sick.
but now take that idea. You have a guy in Russia, you have a guy in fucking here. Who's killing someone faster, Putin or fucking Biden?
Putin would sneeze, and that guy have
yeah, exactly.
His heart, yeah.
Putin would be like, I would kill him if he didn't have it. You know, like,
Putin's like, I gotta kill him first to see if he survives.
All this talk about heart.
Not funny. But facts. I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like if it was a little earlier, we put more thought into like what has led to this trend, and like obviously we're very aware,
bro. The removal of risk.
But we're very aware of the consequences too, and like, I mean, I feel like a lot of it is like work related, and yeah, I think also people like spend more time searching for a partner and like more time in like a dating phase. So I don't know. There's like so many factors to it, but
bro, what even is dating? 100 years ago, dating didn't exist. The fuck is dating?
Just like
it was just like
you.
Let's get together.
That's it.
We're gonna have kids.
Well, no, it was like you're poor, kids. You're rich, kids. Like,
yeah, it's what it was. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna try a bunch of people out. Like, that's why no one fucking stays together, because we're not supposed to have the look. This is a very it's not an I don't know the fucking answer, but I think like if you take on one spectrum, I'm only gonna get married when I love someone so fucking much that I can't bear not to be with them, right? That's one spectrum. The other on the other side of the spectrum is
you will marry this person, period.
Like, I am looking to get married, and then I select someone. So like my default mode is I want to find someone to marry. That's what I'm screening for right now. You know? I bet there's a bunch of merit to both of them, but I think like in the first situation where like you only marry when you fall in love, I think there's a lot more unmarried people, because you go through a lot of relationships. Sure. Oh, I liked that. What? I thought that was going to work, but it didn't. This person moved. This person cheated. Like,
sure.
There's also more like complexity of logistics and all this kind of stuff. And like, look, do I want an arranged marriage? No, not at all. But if that's what everyone was doing, and I don't mean this in like a peer pressure kind of way, I just meant like if that was a societal norm, things would be different. Like, dude, when I was growing up, I mean, you too, like Roosevelt Island, like my hood, all like there were so many kids my age, like so many
Yeah,
kids
it's
my
just a
age, and
squat.
it was just a squad. And I think like if I look at all of my friends' parents, the majority of them got married because they were like, it's time to get married, you know?
And everyone, but that's what I'm saying. Everyone around you kind of has to have kids at the same time because, like,
Yeah.
support and it's like you kids. Yeah, exactly.
Bro, like you've seen how huge my like friend group is. And of course, when you go to school, that's like a place where kids congregate. So you're going to have homies. But like in my neighborhood, I didn't go to school with any of those kids. Bro,
Yeah,
we
like
had a
plus or
squad
minus like
daily, like
3 years.
200 kids.
Yeah, exactly.
Like plus or minus 3 to 5 years. But like when you're a kid, like 3 years.
That's what I'm saying. 3 plus
And
minus
it's like
3.
all of our parents were around the same age, which makes me think like, okay, all these people decided to have kids. And now, like in our generation, what's going to happen? Like, oh, I don't have enough income to have a kid. Oh, I don't own a house yet, so I can't have a kid. It's like our parents weren't doing that complex calculus. They were like, fuck it.
Baby,
I got a job.
food.
I got a job now. I met someone good enough. Let's have kids.
Fine.
Like
Different times.
I can't send them to private schools. Bitch, work harder. You got a couple years to figure it out.
It's gonna be like a motivational poster in like a gym. Say more.
Meanwhile, I'm 40 and childless.
There's that. What's the thing? I mean, like I think like big eye roll, like air quote, like mathematically proven, like the best strategy for finding someone is like 30. Like you explore 38% of options, and then anyone you meet after that that's better than that 38%, like is who you should select. According, like I don't know the full study, I don't know the full logic behind the math. I just know that's like generally seen as like the most. It's for interviews, partners, all these things. Like that's the optimal strategy. I don't know if it's 30%, 38% of people, of all people, of people that are reasonable. I don't know, but that apparently.
Yeah, that would be. I'd want to know more specifically what that means.
I think for interviews, it's like, okay, you have 100 people you can interview. You interview 38. After that, if there's someone better than the 38, just hire. Like, don't bother looking anymore. So.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is like also when you have a narrative of like, okay, it's time to get married. This person aligns with the time of life, values, blah blah blah. Versus what we do is like, I'm in my 20s, so I'm not going to get married. And then you have a serious girlfriend. It's like, okay, if I'm not going to get married for 10 more years and I'm dating a serious relationship, I'm kind of betting that it's not going to work, right? So then, or you're betting like you're going to be with this person for 10 years and then decide to get married.
Sure.
But also, like,
it's just a weird dynamic.
It's a weird dynamic, and there's so much more like, what if I meet someone better now? Like, what if this, what if that? And the thing is, that's a good thing, right? Like, you want to ultimately find someone you're maximal, like, above a certain threshold compatible with, like 80%, 85%, whatever, right? But like, you know, how many friends would I not have if their parents were using that same calculus? Or how many of them would be born 30 years later? Or like, maybe that's
no, I mean, excessive. They would be replaced by,
yeah, for sure,
whatever. But I hear you.
It's wild.
It's just a weird, like, I think it's one of those things, like, you take a step back and it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, it's such a weird, like, societal narrative that, like, I don't know, people just blindly follow and don't really put much thought into it. Like, that's that exact situation. Everyone's like, oh, it's time for this, or it's not time for this. Like, there's people I know dating for like 10 years, not engaged. People I know dating 2 years, engaged. Like, and like, there's people I know that were like in their 30s. They meet someone like a year later, married, move into all these things. And it's like, yeah, I mean, I get it. There's like a biological clock, got to get moving. But like, I don't know, it's just a weird dynamic. And I just think the modern age, like, just presents infinite options. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think, like we've said, it's not optimal for us.
It might not be. Who am I to say it is or isn't? Yeah, I don't fucking know.
I think it's just like,
I'm trying to think about like my one bedroom. If there was like a little kid running around, it'd be kind of fire. It'd be fun.
My kid, I put him in the shower. Lock him in the shower. There's only room for that. Maybe he gets to go in the oven if he's good. If she's good.
You could make that closet you have like a kid's bedroom. Yeah, that closet could be fire.
Yeah, I'd probably rent that closet out, honestly.
In New York.
Probably, yeah.
Bro, I put him on the roof. As we're saying that, like I was thinking, you know Sebastian Younger, Tribe?
No.
Restrepo?
No.
Okay, he's an author and a documentary filmmaker. He's been in Paris a bunch of times. He's boys with Josh.
Yeah.
He talks about how like he's worth millions of dollars, but he decided based on his experiences living with a SEAL platoon in Afghanistan, and then he wrote directed Restrepo, which was the documentary about like that platoon in Afghanistan, and then he wrote Tribe, which was basically like an exploration into how divorced the way we live is from like what our psychology and like physical health is like benefits maximally from like the environment that it would be best for in. And based on his research, he's like, he has a wife and I believe either one or two young daughters, and they live like, you know those like random tenement buildings in near Chinatown? Like he lives in one of those. And he's like worth millions of dollars, very successful writer. And he says like, yeah, and like their kids like sleep in his bed, like up till a certain age. Like, but when they were like, very young, he was like, yeah, like
18 with a boyfriend sleeping.
When his rationale is like, throughout history, what was more likely the case? Like a 4-year-old or a 2-year-old kid had their own room, or they slept in your fucking bed.
Luckily for New Yorkers, you don't have to choose. It's just
right. Yeah. And then I hear all this dumb shit about like, oh, studies show that a kid is more likely to be a drug addict if they sleep in the same bed as their parents.
Bro, there's studies. It's like if your kids don't have linen sheets, like they're gonna like their lungs are gonna implode by the time they're like 8. And like
so dumb.
Study found by like Brooklyn, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Dumb. But I don't know. The world is changing so quickly in so many different dimensions that like I don't know. And I assume that it's only going to continue, and we're just like holding on by our fingernails. We're cooked, but like we're good, but we're also cooked. But like
I wish we could have stopped in like 2004.
Nah, I like the way things are going, but like I wish we just like took a step back and we're just like we placed a high amount of importance on figuring this shit out.
Nah, I wish we'd stopped like the week before the iPhone came out. I wish we just paused then.
Everyone got a sidekick, like
it would be fire. Because that, bro, even then, like phones were about texting, like let's talk to people, let's meet up. All this kind of shit.
It's always one of those things that, but before that, people are like,
of course, it's
idyllic,
all this shit. It can't fucking ever stop. I know, again, you can't ever stop.
I know, I'm just like,
I don't know, man. Like, I think back to my childhood could not exist in the same geographical location as it did exist now.
Thank God. We only need one Tamor.
And it could have for a long time before then.
Sure.
Like,
but who knows? I mean, honestly, our kids, like, they might be like, yo, this is the last great generation. Like, we got to.
No, everyone says that.
We got to float.
The difference is the actual difference between like what our parents experienced and what we experienced. Not that different when we were like before, like pre-10, like 10, like 0 to 10. Sure. Not that different, but like 0 to 10 now. If you had a kid right now, like, what age are you gonna get him an iPhone? What age? Like. Bro, my parents were telling me to go down to the store when I was like 5 years old. Like, go down to the store and get me this and this. It's like, okay. Sure. Like, you want a pizza? Go get a pizza. You know?
Did I ever tell you the story what my mom used to make us do?
No. I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll ask a broader question next time. My mom, I used to fucking hate this. And she would like explicitly then like look for things because she knew I hated it. She would make us like let's say we're at a restaurant and we're having like whatever we're eating and like I wanted like salt or something like that. I'd be like, Mom, can you ask for salt for this?
Oh, like, she would pizza? Make you ask for it?
She'd be like, you have to ask for it. I'm like, fuck it. Like, I don't want. Then I'm like, do I want this salt? Like, I don't know if I want to ask these people. Like, I might just eat this shit like plain. But yeah, then you like ask, and now I feel like
elite parenting move.
Yeah. I feel like a guy selling like asking for donations on the street, like for some charity. Like I'll ask anyone anything. Like
Facts.
But yeah, stuff like that, or like go to the neighbor, ask them for eggs, like sugar, whatever. I mean, that's like
I used to hate that.
Yeah, I know. Like you gotta look like a dweeb. You gotta ding, like nah.
Do you have sugar? Yeah. But yeah, dude, I hated all that shit. Like I remember when I would go to the doctor's office, my mom would like make me fill out my own form, at least the parts of my form that I could fill out, and then she'd be like, "Go hand it to this receptionist." And I was just like, I don't want to do this.
Facts.
Or like when we'd go to, I'm trying to think, like, yeah, she would tell me to go to the store. I mean, growing up in a building, like and we had a car, so like we'd go do groceries, and then like what we had to do was like you bring it to the street, and then you have to get like a cart from your building. Right? You've seen my building, like we have the shopping carts
like,
and shit.
Bring
it to the street, bro. I'd be like in the middle of Call of Duty, and she'd be like, "Okay, I'm downstairs with the groceries." I'm like, "Oh,
God, yeah."
And I remember one time I was like, "I'm not doing it," and then my dad just looked at me. He's like, "You're gonna make your mom bring up these groceries?" And I was like, "Fuck."
Fuck yeah.
Like,
and yeah, when you bring it in groceries, I mean, you had a wheelie thing, but it was like my arms, like I look like a
because also like
I look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I like 15 bags.
And
like,
it's also like your mom would be, and then moms would be like, "You can do more than one trip." You don't get it. It's all one. It's one trip or nothing.
One trip or bust. Like this food is staying down here and rotting, or it's coming up. Like that's it.
Yeah, it's like no, I'm doing it. Like we're making it work. When my mom, bro, my mom used to get brolic groceries. Like I remember, like it would be falling out the cart, and I think now, like, what did we get?
Literally,
it'd be falling out of the cart.
I mean, there's shit now. You'll like order like a thing of groceries, and then like you look back and you're like, I had like like, what did I even buy? Like half the shit's like I don't know, non-core like rice, bean, whatever. Like
yeah, and we used to get fired though. Like the ice cream, the snacks.
Yeah.
Look, when we were kids, our parents didn't know shit about health, sugar, like none of that shit. Bro, I remember I learned when we lived together. That's when I learned, like, oh, sugar's really bad for you. Like I knew it wasn't good for you, but I didn't understand the impact it had on your body. I thought it was just like, oh, it fucks up your teeth. I didn't know.
Sure.
You know, like I drink soda when I was a kid. Like, bro, the Costco taquitos,
fire,
crazy.
Yeah, it was.
But even that, like, I remember going to the grocery store was a mission, and I loved it. Like, we would go together to Costco, like my mom, me, and my sister, and it was a vibe. Like, oh, I want this, and it was like running around,
begging. You're like begging for like a
please.
Like, you're begging for like dried apricots. You're like, then you get home, you have like 2 dried apricots. Like, I never want to see this bag of fucking thing again. Like, might as well throw it away. And then, but then you don't throw it away, and it stays in there for like 15 years.
A year, yeah. And
like a dinosaur fossil.
Now it's like Instacart, groceries, Amazon Prime, everything. Yep. Incredible convenience, right? Like I don't want to go to the grocery store, but I think the issue is commuting. Like, that's the issue. Like if I could teleport to the grocery store and then teleport back, elite.
My guy gonna have
that's the real. On. That's Elon.
Metaverse.
Fucking Elon needs to figure out teleportation.
Metaverse putting the divider between the grocery store.
Bro.
Yeah, I don't know.
We didn't talk about a single thing that we were going to plan to talk about. By the way,
but, you know what I forget. It was somewhere in Tool of Titans. It's not a podcast. We don't bring up fucking something Tim Ferriss related. And it was talking about this guy who said that like half his summer he spent doing like brolic work.
Chris Sacca. I literally have that open right now.
Yeah. He would spend half the summer like putting in posts for like a fence, was like extremely labor intensive, and the other half was spent like whatever, like at a hedge fund or doing something cool, like something interesting and cool, where they'd like learn the hard work of like blue collar labor, and then like the leverage and interestingness of like white collar.
Bro, elite parenting.
Yeah, that's they like. I mean, they deserve a billionaire like child from that. Like,
yeah, if I'm like dumb wealthy, I'm gonna do it with my kids. Like, bro,
even not like,
I worked with when I 2016 summer when I worked at REOC, which is Roosevelt Island Operating Corporation,
yeah,
basically like public maintenance for
yeah,
the island. Bro, I was working with like people who that was their career, like rough fucking dudes.
sure,
And it's like reinforces the fact like humility, good work ethic, and a sense of humor will take you so far in life.
sure,
Like and you would see guys that would like who were the guys that got picked on? Guys who had an entitlement, guys who didn't work hard, and like who just couldn't take a joke well, you know?
sure,
And like I heard there's one kid. Basically, the job was like every summer they like hired a couple of seasonal workers, so like you could work for the summer, whatever. And like we were doing like oh, this bench is broken, let's go fix that bench. Oh, we
sure,
need to repaint the sidewalk,
sure,
like that kind of shit. And like, you know, when I first like, you know, there was a kid there who worked at the job, and he was also like college student, summer at home, you know, and he had a really bad attitude. Like he would literally say, not to everyone, but to me, because we kind of knew each other, like, dude, like, what are we doing here? We're fucking getting college degrees. And it's like, I would just,
chill,
I just like, dude, whatever. Who gives a like? We're just doing it. Like, there's so much value in this too, because the
sure,
people are also like, you're not going to meet these type of people in college. And I remember one guy, like, he used to be Madonna's coke dealer,
sure,
and I'm like, where are you going to get that experience? You
literally.
know, like, and he would tell me his crazy fucking stories. Like, it was
No,
crazy.
I think it's good to just like, it just sucks that things get like compartmentalized. Like, I don't know. I for a decent chunk of college, like I worked as a golf caddy. Like, by the way, elite job.
Yeah, high school, you mean?
Yeah, what did I say?
College.
Yeah, sorry, in high school, but elite job. Make bread for that age and like not really having, you know,
Mhm.
great skills, whatever. But it's crazy because like all the caddies that you like chill with, like a ton, are like not very well off, like hard background, all these things, like, but all like super nice dudes. Like, I mean, you're just chill, like the same thing. They're just like
Yeah.
boys. But then the people you're like caddying for are like wild wealthy, like just Wall Street money, all these like
Mhm.
whatever. And while they're like got like cursed out a few times, like dealt with all this bullshit from like the rich people who were like whack. And there were like plenty of nice people, like hands down. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was so cool to just like chill with all these guys and like always just homies. And one guy, I'm not joking. This was like the craziest moment. It was at my old house, and like someone rings the doorbell. It was like wintertime, like package delivery. I open the door. One of my boys, that was my caddy, like my guy, was my UPS driver now. I was like, dude, like, how crazy is
That's
that?
wild. Yeah.
But yeah, I totally agree. It's like getting
Yeah.
people are people, and like you just got to be chill and yeah.
No, but those experience, like those kinds of jobs, like really important. I remember when I was working as a barista at Joe and the Juice, like in my mind, I knew that it was just like, I don't know. You ever go somewhere and you just sense a sense of like you sense in another person, like at a coffee shop. Okay, for example, on the Starbucks on Roosevelt Island, there's this one guy, I don't know if he's still there, but every time my sister would go, I'd be like, that guy's such a dick. And like I went with her when he was working, and like he just gave a sense of like, I'm so unhappy to be here. And
Sure.
you know, like sort of the empathy aside, like I remember when I was working at Joe and the Juice, yes, I knew it was part of a plan. Like I have something to do after this. This is just like I'm doing it for now. But I think like I was open and I tried to work hard there. But there was experiences where like I think was very important to have. Like one time, like my first weekend. First of all, Saturdays were wild. Like
Yeah,
Sundays and
sure.
Saturdays were wild. Like my manager like partied mad hard the night before. This is like my third day there. Like I don't know where anything is. I don't know how to make any of these fucking
Sure.
juices and shit. And
It's just Joe, no chief.
he's just like, yo, you got it? And I'm like, no. And he's like, all right, I'll be in 10 minutes. 4 hours later,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
I cut my finger open and I have like 40 people in line. And I'm like
Every drink
telling
got a little
people
red.
like I'm trying, like no, I had to stop, bro. It was like
No,
I
I
still
know.
have the scar on my finger like 3 years later. Like it like tore down. It was like bleeding like crazy. And this guy he's like, I fucking ordered 15 minutes ago. And he starts filming me. Like I'm just trying to like stop the bleeding and he's filming me. And I'm just like, keeping my cool, like, sorry, sir, I'll get it to you as soon as possible. And then like 5 Karens were like, you leave him alone. He just started. You're a
Yo,
piece of
call me.
shit. Bro, all the Upper West Side moms, they were about it.
Fire.
And then like he just like left because they were all like, you piece of shit. He just started. Be nice to him. And I'm
Bleeding out of
like,
your
fuck, bro, like it didn't hurt. It was just like literally
No,
up
I
to
know.
here
It's like
was
bleeding.
blood.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Wow. Well, shout out to the Karens out there holding it down.
Yo, we talk about Karens pejoratively, but if you have a Karen on your side, that's a fucking life
Bro,
asset right there.
I'm a son of a Karen.
That
Rosa
is
goes.
good too,
Rosa,
bro.
sweet is extremely sweet. You get on her bad side though, or like she needs some shit done. Like get out of the way. Like,
Bro, my mom has this skill. No matter where we go, she will convince the person working there to give us their friends and family discount. Like,
fire.
just she just does it, and it's just like, yeah, my mom, bro.
Nice.
We talk about Karens like they're like bad people, and of course there's certain places where it's not appropriate to Karen. Dude, Karening gets you very far.
Sure.
It,
Like,
it
can I
wouldn't
speak to your
exist.
manager?
Yeah,
I pulled the
fuck
card.
this. Oh, I Karen, bro. With that fucking with the bed situation, I Karen like
Like,
crazy. I'm still Karening because they have like manufacturing delays. It's like, so you're telling me blah blah blah. Yeah, this is unacceptable. Like all that shit. Give me money. Give me a discount.
you
Give
got
me
to pull
shit for
out the
free.
whiteness. Yeah.
It's not, but it's not white.
No, I hear you. I'm just it's.
That we've given that label to white ladies, but everyone deserves to be a Karen.
Sure.
That's the title.
That's the title. Yeah. Karens for all, or diverse Karen. We'll think of some good name. Well, I know it's late.
We just flew through
The new day is coming. Yeah, we just talked about kids and childhood
fucking Karens.
Fire as always. Yeah, we got to do some more walks, and we're gonna start doing the podcast in person. So some exciting stuff in the works.
Facts. Yo, what we should do is we should have someone like design like a Blubhouse logo and just put it on the wall where we sit.
Facts.
That'd be cool.
Facts. Cool. Well, much love, fam, and rest up. Peace to everyone out there.
Peace.